What if I told you that there is a completely legal strategy that allows the wealthiest people to live like royalty while paying virtually zero taxes? And when they die, their heirs get to keep everything without the government taking a single bite. You probably think I am selling you some sketchy offshore scheme or some pyramid nonsense. But here is the thing that might shock you. This is not some elaborate tax evasion plot cooked up in a secret island. This strategy has been hiding in plain sight for over a century. It is so elegantly simple that it only takes 3 words to describe how the ultra-wealthy stay ultra-wealthy. If you are tired of watching billionaires pay lower tax rates than teachers while you get hammered every April, listen closely. The strategy is called buy, borrow, die. Before you roll your eyes, let me be crystal clear about something. This is not a get-rich-quick fantasy. We are talking about a wealth preservation technique that requires serious money to make it work. But understanding how it operates will completely change how you think about taxes and investing. It explains why the wealthy seem to live by completely different rules than the rest of us. According to Federal Reserve data, the typical American household retires with about $200,000. That is the result of 40 years of hard work and honest tax payments. But for the top 1%, the game is played on a totally different field. In 2021, a bombshell investigation used leaked data to prove the truth. The wealthiest people were not just paying lower rates. They were paying almost nothing at all. Let me break down exactly how this works, because once you understand the mechanics, you will never look at wealth the same way again. The first component is the buy phase. This is where wealthy individuals make a fundamental choice that separates them from everyone else. Instead of earning traditional income that gets taxed immediately, they focus on purchasing assets. They buy stocks that do not pay dividends, real estate that increases in value, or private company shares. The key here is that these assets can grow in value for decades without triggering any tax obligations. As long as you never sell them, the government cannot touch those gains. Think about how different this is from the way you build wealth. You go to work, earn a salary, and immediately get hit with income taxes and Social Security taxes. Then you try to save what is left over. But the wealthy flip this entire script. They buy assets first, let them grow tax-free, and figure out how to access that wealth without selling. Now, you might be wondering how someone lives off assets they never sell. After all, you cannot pay your mortgage with unrealized gains. Grocery stores do not accept stock certificates as payment. This brings us to the second phase, which is the most brilliant part of the entire system. The borrow phase is where the magic really happens. Once you have substantial assets, you can use them as collateral to secure loans. Modern banks have created products specifically designed for this purpose. These are called securities-based lines of credit. They allow wealthy individuals to borrow against their portfolios without selling a single share. Here is the beautiful part from a tax perspective. The government does not tax borrowed money. If you borrow $1 million against your stock portfolio, that money flows into your bank account tax-free. You can use that money to buy houses, cars, vacations, or anything else you desire. And the tax office treats it as if it does not exist. The terms on these loans are typically very favorable for wealthy borrowers. Interest rates are often much lower than traditional bank loans. The larger your portfolio, the better rates you can negotiate. Some individuals can borrow at rates as low as 3% annually. But here is where it gets even more interesting. While you are borrowing against your assets, those assets continue to grow. If your portfolio is earning 8% annually and you pay 3% interest, you are still winning. Your wealth keeps compounding while you access cash without any tax consequences. This creates a perpetual cycle that can continue indefinitely. As your assets grow, your borrowing capacity increases. You can take out larger loans or refinance existing debt. Meanwhile, you are living off borrowed money while your actual wealth grows untouched. You might be thinking, this sounds too good to be true. What happens when the loans come due? What about all that accumulated debt? This is where the third phase comes into play. The die phase is the culmination of the strategy. When someone using this strategy passes away, their heirs inherit the assets through a rule called stepped-up basis. This is where the tax code gives the wealthy a massive gift. Under current law, when you inherit assets, you receive them at their current market value. The original price the owner paid does not matter anymore. All those capital gains that accumulated over decades simply disappear. If your grandmother bought stock for $10 and it is worth $500 when she dies, you inherit it at $500. All that growth becomes tax-free forever. This means the heirs can immediately sell the assets without owing any capital gains taxes. They can use the proceeds to pay off the outstanding loans. Whatever is left over becomes their tax-free inheritance. The family wealth not only survives the transfer, but it often emerges stronger. Let us look at a real-world example of how this works. Imagine an entrepreneur named Maria who has accumulated $10 million. Instead of spending that money, she invests it in growth stocks and real estate. She is not looking for regular income that would trigger taxes. She wants pure tax-deferred growth. Let us say her portfolio grows at 7% annually. After 10 years, her $10 million portfolio is worth nearly $20 million. That is a gain of $10 million that has never been touched by the tax collector. If Maria were to sell these assets now, she would face a brutal tax bill of over $2 million. But Maria does not sell anything. Instead, she uses her portfolio as collateral for a line of credit. The bank offers her access to $7 million without selling any stock. The interest rate might be 6% annually. Maria is paying about $400,000 in interest to access $7 million in cash. Compare that to the $2 million tax bill she would have faced. She is effectively deferring a massive tax hit by paying a much smaller annual cost. While she pays interest on her loan, her underlying portfolio continues to grow. If her investments generate 8%, her portfolio grows by $1.6 million a year. She is netting over $1 million annually just by using debt instead of selling. Maria is now living off borrowed money that the government cannot tax. She can buy whatever she wants, and none of it shows up as taxable income. When Maria passes away 30 years later, her portfolio has grown to $80 million. Her heirs inherit the entire $80 million at its current market value. All those decades of growth simply vanish for tax purposes. The heirs sell enough assets to pay off the loans and owe zero in capital gains taxes. The remaining tens of millions become their tax-free inheritance. The total tax bill on this entire multi-decade transaction is essentially zero. Meanwhile, if you tried to build wealth through a traditional salary, you would pay taxes at every step. This is why wealth inequality has exploded over the past several decades. You cannot tax wealth that is never realized as income. The financial industry has created a lending product for every type of asset. You can borrow against private equity, real estate, and even expensive artwork. The system literally rewards you for being richer. Someone with $50 million pays less interest than someone with $5 million. The more money you have, the more effectively this strategy works. Each generation inherits assets and continues the cycle. Meanwhile, families earning income face tax rates that can exceed 40%. It is like discovering that while you have been playing checkers, the wealthy have been playing three-dimensional chess. They are using a completely different set of rules that nobody explained to you. The most frustrating part is that our political debates usually miss the point. Politicians argue about raising rates, while the ultra-wealthy never realize taxable income. You could raise the tax rate to 90%, and it would not affect this strategy. Because they never sell, they never trigger the tax. This creates a situation where middle-class families pay higher effective rates than billionaires. The teacher, the nurse, and the small business owner all get hammered with taxes, while the richest people in the country pay less than 1% of their wealth. Financial media often covers small tax tips for regular people while ignoring the elephant in the room. Wealth management firms quietly market these products to their high-net-worth clients. They use corporate speak like tax-efficient liquidity solutions. It is just a fancy way of helping rich people avoid taxes while everyone else pays the bills. This strategy is also shaping the entire stock market. When wealthy investors never plan to sell, it creates artificial scarcity. This pushes prices higher for everyone else. The wealthy are not just avoiding taxes, they are inflating the value of their investments. If you are currently saving and investing, do not be discouraged. While you may not be a billionaire yet, you can still apply these principles on a smaller scale. Focus on assets that grow rather than just income that gets taxed. Utilize tax-advantaged accounts like a Roth IRA where your growth is protected. Understand that the first $100,000 is the hardest part of the journey. But once you build a base, the power of compounding takes over. Wealth does not grow in a straight line, it bends upward. The closer you get to your goals, the faster the game speeds up. The first million might take 20 years, but the second may only take 7. Consistency and knowledge are your greatest weapons in this rigged game. Stop chasing the newest and flashiest things and focus on building real wealth. Spend less than you earn and prioritize assets that work for you. Having financial security provides a freedom that no luxury car can match. The system may not be fair, but understanding it is the first step to freedom. Stay the course and let time do the heavy lifting for you. Your financial future depends on the choices you make today. Knowledge of these hidden rules gives you the power to protect your family. Keep learning and stay disciplined in your investment journey. The world of finance is complex, but the path to security is simple. Buy assets, protect your growth, and think long terms. That is how the real game is played and won.